everyone, and today we are going to wet splice some yarn together. Now you can only use this technique with non-superwash yarns. It won't work with superwash because the superwash process, what it does is it removes the fibres that are on the sort of top layer of the yarn, the ones that will felt basically. It removes the fibres that will cause the yarn to felt, hence making it superwash. So you need to have a non-superwash yarn. This one is Dan's yarn that he's using to knit the lovely jumper, the Samantha jumper, and it's Drops Alaska, which is 100% wool, non-superwash. What we're going to do is we're going to join these two ends without knots or anything like that, and it's the technique that I will always use if it's possible if I'm using a non-superwash yarn, because you don't have any ends to weave in and it's just completely invisible, you don't see it at all. So what we need to do is, if you were to just join these two ends like this now without actually doing anything to the yarn, you're going to have like a section here which is twice the thickness, and that would, more than likely you would see that within your knitting. So what we need to do is we need to make the two ends so that when we join them they're the same thickness. Now to do that, in this case this yarn is a 3-ply. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove about 2 inches or so of the yarn, just so one of the plies on this side and then 2 of the plies on this side, so that when we then felt those two together it'll be back to the 3-ply thickness, which is what the rest of the yarn is. Now inevitably you might end up with kind of a tiny little section where, you know, it is a little bit thicker, but that's never caused me a problem at all. So lay your yarns down, and you want to sort of roughly measure a couple of inches, doesn't have to be exact. And then we're going to take one of the yarns and just take out 1 ply like this, pull it apart to about, like I say, about, you know, 2 inches or so. So separate out your plies. It's a bit twisty and everything because obviously it's been twisted together, but you can see there now we've got 2 plies here and 1 here. So we're going to snip off 1 ply of that side and then do the same on the other side. If you had 4 plies you would obviously split it 2 and 2, or if it's a 2-ply, just 1 and 1. So measure it, you can see where you've cut it on this side, and then just sort of measure it to the other piece. It doesn't have to be completely exact, but just try and get it to be about the same length. So it's going to be about there. And then snip off 2 plies. Oh, they're all sticking together. Snip off 2 plies on the other side. So we've now got yarn with 1 ply here and then 2 here. And we're going to felt these 2 pieces together. So what I then do is I pick it up and then sort of where you've snipped it here, join, you know, grab your 2 plies there and sort of and grab it on the other end as well. And now we need to wet it. Traditionally this was called spit splicing. I'm not going to subject you to that, but you wet it however you want to wet it. I've got just a cup of water, so I'm just going to dunk that in. It will resist the water initially because obviously that's what wool does. So we just need to wet it. There we go. And then just squeeze out some of the wet. Let's get it a little bit more. There we go. And now what we're going to do basically is we're going to rub like fury, because we want to felt those 2 joins together. And all we're going to do is we've laid it in the palm of our hand and we're just going to rub. And you want to generate some heat. You know, when you feel sort of warmth between your hands, that's when the felting is going to take place. So just go ahead and rub. It won't take long, but you know, just keep going until you feel that warmth, and then I tend to just, you know, go a little bit longer than that. And now just move along so that you've got the join bit in your hand, and do the same thing. And do the same thing on the other side where the join is. It's not looking bad. This felts really easily actually. You'll probably find that some yarn felts much easier than others. I mean, I expect, I've never used it, but something like Brooklyn tweed I think would felt in an instant. And this is felting, you know, really well. That's pretty good. Let's do that end a little bit more. And you can see that's now nice and secure, it's not going anywhere. And although it looks a little bit, it does look felted obviously, because that's what we've done. It is, you know, the same thickness as the rest. This is wet obviously, so once this bit's dry it will plump up a bit, because it looks a bit thinner at the moment. That's only because it's wet. But you can see it is the same thickness all the way along. It's nice and secure. It took, what, minutes to do that? A couple of minutes. And it's all done, and you can now just carry on knitting without even, you know, thinking about it. No ends to weave in, and it's just brilliant. We really love this method, don't we?
Yes.
Even though Dan's never done it, but now that I've shown him what to do, he can felt his own joins, can't he? So there we go, that's how we wet splice our yarn.